Hello again, we are back with another game from the Pokemon Online program, and once again I'm going to be using Flareon. Now, just like in my previous Flareon video, I'm going to explain that I've just come back from holiday, and I played this game a couple of weeks ago, so I will have to apologise if I get anything wrong. So, straight away here I start with a Mewtwo and an Eevee. I put the Mewtwo up because I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get a DCE and start attacking turn 1. And straight away I see that I'm playing against Blastoise. So I've got only a Juniper, so I random receiver and hit a Juniper. But I use a second random receiver and I don't have to Juniper all those supporters away, which is very good. Now I choose not to put that fire energy down because I want to try and get my DCE, but I'm only running 8 energy total, and quite frankly that's a mistake. Because my odds of hitting the DCE weren't great, my odds of hitting an energy were strong, but by no means guaranteed, and now I've gone from possibly attaching 1 energy to attaching no energy. I've got a Flareon for next turn, I've got a Ditto that I can start evolving up into Yamask and Cofagrigus, etc., but it's not great. Now, one thing I will explain here very quickly, this is my Flareon deck. For those of you that haven't seen the videos, I would recommend that you go back and look at them again. And what this deck does, it aims to use Flareon's Revenge attack for a double colourless to do lots of damage if you fill your discard pile with Pokemon. I've got Cofagrigus that kills himself and spreads 30 damage in the process to get more Pokemon in there. I've also got Ditto to evolve up to just get more Pokemon in the discard pile earlier. And Aldinos to get rid of damage and special conditions because you can discard them from your hand. Now, once again, I make a mistake there because I forget to transform into the Yamask. Now, what I'm looking for here is a Cofagrigus and a DCE, because that will allow me to do something good here. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get him out of the active spot because I don't have a Cofagrigus, and even if I could, I wouldn't be doing enough damage. With a Cofagrigus, I could have taken out his only Squirtle, but I didn't, boo-hoo, etc. What can you do? Now, you'll notice here that I'm playing against a Blastoise, and that's very, very bad. It's pretty much the worst matchup here, because Flareon's weak to water. Now, my particular build does involve Mewtwo, which is quite fancy, and that does give me a slightly better chance, but to be honest with you, it's not a great matchup for me at all. Now, I still don't get any way to get the Yamask out of the active, so I'm playing a slow game here. Luckily, he hasn't hit the Blastoise yet, but he plays a Juniper to try and do so, and now he's got free energy on his Caldeo, so he's going to be attacking this turn. Hopefully he won't hit a catcher, and he'll just have to take out my active Yamask, and that's what happens. So, what I'm going to be trying to do this game is using my Mewtwo to soften up his Pokemon, and then finishing them off with Flareons. As ideally what I'm looking for here. Now, very, very bad here. I've got 2 Flareons and a Super Rod, with my only supporter being a Juniper, and no Eevees. So not only am I discarding 2 of my 4 Flareons, I'm also discarding my Tool Scrapper, and this is in my worst matchup. And then, of course, would you believe it, I get to see the Cofagrigus, which I so wanted last turn. So all in all, this game is going very, very badly indeed. It's not, and once again there I bench rather than transform. I always forget to do that with this particular program. So, it's very, very awkward. I use X-Ball, and I can still be doing decent damage with X-Ball. He's 1 prize up. If he knocks out my Mewtwo next turn, he'll go 3-0, but then I'll be able to knock out his Caldeo, and I'll even it up just a little bit. He's not got his Blastoise out yet, so it's not the end of the world, but he does manage to get his Tropical Beach down, and that's going to be quite helpful for him in doing so. Now, you'll notice in my last game, if you watch that, spoilers, so go back and watch my Flareon beating Flareon video. In the last game, I couldn't get my Life Dew out, and that's happening again here. That Life Dew is the A-Spec Trainer card I play, which allows your opponent to take 1 less prize when they knock out a Pokemon, and that's really, really important. Now, he's just Ultra Balled for a Blastoise, so I'm willing to bet there's going to be, there we go, a rare candy, which means that he's now set up. He did have a slow start this game, But then again, so did I. I had that Yamaha stuck active. I've had to discard a couple of Flareons. So it's very much an uphill battle here, and it's an uphill battle against my worst matchup. But I want to give Flareon a chance. It is probably my favourite deck to muck around with at the moment. I don't know if the Mewtwo's are the best call, or whether I should take them out for Cobalion EXs to help with the Plasma matchup, which again is not easy because of their Kyurem. But then if I did that, my Blastoise matchup would be even worse than it currently is. So, looking at my board there, I need a supporter, and I've not got a supporter yet, which is somewhat annoying. So I'm going to have to see what I can do. Now, annoyingly there, I'm not going to be able to knock out his Caldeo with a Cofagrigus, because it's only got 100 damage on it. So I'm going to have to try and put that damage elsewhere if I choose to use that transform. Now, his Caldeo is going down this turn, but then my Mewtwo's going down next turn. He's got that second Caldeo all ready to go, which is not ideal for me. The one good news is I can try and end him down to very few cards late game. And because he's not using Black Kyurem EX, Black Kyurem EX could do 60, which isn't enough, or it could do 200 discarding free energy, and it's hard to do that to take all 6 of his prizes. So he has got to attack with Caldeo here, which does give me the advantage of my Mewtwo's actually being useful here, which is... it's quite good. Oftentimes against a Blastoise list, if you brought out a Mewtwo, they could just Black Ballista it. But here, trying to use Black Ballista against my almost entirely non-EX deck just isn't going to do a huge amount of damage. So I think I've got 5 or 6 Pokemon there in the discard pile, and that's going to go up to 8 or 9 if I kill the Cofagrigus. But even then, my Flareon's only going to be doing, you're talking 100, 110 damage. It's not as much as I would like. Now I can play the Audino here to get rid of 10 damage. It's not really going to actually have an effect on the game per se, but what it would do is get another Pokemon in the discard pile. The reason I choose not to do it there is because I'd just be doing it to get it in the discard pile. I'm not attacking with Flareon now, and maybe next turn I'll need to remove that damage. It's unlikely, admittedly, and it probably would have made no difference if I had used the Audino there, but that was my thinking behind it. Now, I didn't actually kill his Caldeo there. What I did was I half-killed a second Caldeo. Now, I don't really mind that, because he's got 2 attacking. I've got to kill them both anyway. My hope is that I can take one down with Cofagrigus' 6 feet under, but I believe I've done 100 to both of them, and a double Cofagrigus would only do 60. He'd still have 10 damage left. So that Audino instead becomes Ultra Ball fodder, and I'm still stuck here without a supporter, which is somewhat frustrating, but again, these things happen. You've got... one thing I've learned this season playing Pokemon is you've got to be able to roll with this. You've got to be able to try and make a deck that if you can't draw a supporter, can roll. Here, I'm not having a brilliant time, but I've got my Flareon, I've got my other Flareon. I'm mounting a comeback. Now you can see here, I've got rid of 2 Flareons, I'm down to my last 2 Flareons, but to be honest, the ideal here would be to use these 2 Flareons and then make him knock out a Mewtwo, force him into the 7 prize game. And that's probably what I'll be trying to do, although I'm not going to be wanting to bench that Mewtwo before I attack with it. It's probably going to get Junipered. Now here, he's got that Caldeo, but he doesn't have anything after that, and that Caldeo is going to be going down next turn. He can't knock out both my Flareons. Now here, the prize trade is starting to go against me a little bit, but if he knocks out my Flareon and then I can knock out his Caldeo with my Flareon, we're going to actually be at 2 prizes apiece. And what you see from the Flareon deck here is how it is able to make comebacks. You can give away a lot of prizes early game, but then you get to the stage where they're having to use EXs to KO your Flareon, and you're using your 1 prize Flareon to KO their EXs. And that's lovely. So he does start building up that new Caldeo. And that's bad news for me, quite frankly. I want to kill his Caldeo on the bench, and then I want him to have nothing else. It also means I'm not guaranteed of a prize this turn. So, I put up my Flareon, and I really want to be hitting my life dew here. My life dew it's very important to me at this stage. He's got 2 prizes left. I want to kill that Coffagrigus, but I'm not able to. I need a lot of cards here, so I don't want a random receiver to try and get an N or a Colress. I need my Juniper. So, I played a Juniper, and I get another Mewtwo, which is nice. Now, I have benched that Mewtwo. I'm betting he can't kill it, but really I wanted my life dew there. Going this far into the game, 13 cards left as you can see there, still not hitting my life dew. Second game in a row I haven't hit it, and again, I should be able to win a game without the life dew, but playing against my worst matchup, losing my 2 Flareons, going those several turns without a supporter, it's turning into a very bad game. But the reason I've chosen to upload this particular game is I'm basically showing off here. This is a bad game. I'm playing my worst matchup, and I've had a lot of things go wrong. And yet, I'm just about to capture and kill his Caldeo, and then we're going to be even on prizes. Now, I do choose to use a 6 feet under here, because by using the 6 feet under, I can kill his active Caldeo with my Flareon. So I don't need to capture his other Caldeo. Now at this stage, had I got my life dew, I am guaranteed to win next turn unless he ends himself. Because he'd be on 2 prizes, I'd be on 1, and it would take a huge amount for him to kill my Mewtwo. Now admittedly he could kill my Mewtwo next turn, but had I been able to life dew there, he'd have 2 prizes left, he'd have to kill my Mewtwo, and if he didn't kill my Mewtwo, I would win the game with that catcher. So, what I'm really showing here is how close this game was. Had I drawn the life dew, that's probably a win for me. Flareon is a better deck than people give it credit for. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoy these videos.